As with many international students who chose to study abroad with the hopes to get better job opportunities once they graduate, I did the same. I chose to move all the way to the UK to pursue my education. I was there for 5 years. I did my undergrad for 4 years and then a year of master's. And at some point in that trajectory, I was probably one of the failure example, i.e., I did not get a job in the UK post graduation despite graduating from a pretty good university, and it broke my ego. It broke me, and it was probably one of the most devastating moments when I had to decide to leave the UK because I couldn't get a job and my visa was expiring, and I was not gonna pay for a graduate work permit. I know that you have a choice to do so, but I just did not because it did not make economic sense at the time. However, fast forward about 2.5, 3 years after my graduation, I'm now working in Singapore. And shall I say, it has been one of the most wonderful decisions to walk away and just to end my chapter in the UK at the time. And I've been working in my current company for just about 2 years. And I'd like to share with you some tips on how I landed this job in Singapore because I've been getting quite a lot of questions on LinkedIn as a response to this article that I wrote about Work Holiday Pass, in which Indonesians, like myself, are eligible to apply, but with a caveat, which I'll be talking about in this video. So backtracking a little bit to 2022 when I graduated, by the time I had sent out probably close to 300 plus applications in the UK, in Singapore, and in Indonesia because, I just kind of thought maybe I would just have to go back home. And I did not get any single offer. I did interview for a number of companies, and out of those interviews, most of them I did get into the final round. I went on to apply for a work holiday pass in Singapore. So actually everything that you need to know about this work holiday pass would already be in the immigration website, which I'll be linking in the description box, but just go and read them. I don't want to give out, outdated information. But one thing, you're only allowed to apply for work holiday pass if you graduated from universities in specific countries, and there are other rules, for example, age cap. So yeah, do have a look at the website to make sure that you get the latest information. However, a lot of people thought that I get a job from Work Holiday Pass, but TLDR, the Work Holiday Pass did not have anything to do with my current permanent full-time role. I used Work Holiday Pass to essentially buy me time and get me more experiences after graduation, because at the time of my graduation, I only had, I would say, 1.5 internship. So one full placement year when I was in my undergrad. That is irrelevant to whatever industry that I was applying for because I was working in e-commerce in an automotive company. I had 2 small internship and part-time internships that I did, one at a central bank and one at a startup. So to be honest, I didn't have strong experiences or a lot of experience. Like, I did not win in quantity, I did not win in quality. Editing V right here, I forgot to give a bit of context. I'm not downplaying myself. Literally, if you just take my CV and compare it with Singaporeans or any international students studying in Singapore, they have crazy experiences, i.e. they have multiple big internships. And by big, I mean like in good major names in the industry. And I've seen this across my peers and I've seen this across other high achievers. So yeah, the bar is very high. So I just had to go for more quantity at a time, and I was really open for doing any kinds of internship. So with that Work Holiday Pass, which only lasts for 6 months, I basically used that as a basis to apply for internships because they are shorter in nature, and a lot of those roles that I targeted was actually in startup. I eventually interned in a fintech startup for 3 months, and within those 3 months, I did apply for more jobs in Singapore, more jobs in Indonesia. I did not put a lot of hopes in the startup that I interned in. I just merely took it as an experience and to just get to know the working culture in Singapore. So in my personal experience, the Work Holiday Pass did not contribute directly to my full-time offer. However, a friend of mine whom I got to know the Work Holiday Pass from actually got her internship role through the Work Holiday Pass route and then got a full-time offer. So yeah, it could be a different case for you. So the Work Holiday Pass itself, in my opinion and my experience, talking to a few of you who also got it, is not too hard to get. There are quotas, but as long as you kind of tick all the boxes, I think it's pretty straightforward to be granted the Work Holiday Pass. However, though, getting a job with that holiday pass is not as straightforward. Like I mentioned, my strategy was to go for internship in startups because they probably do not have the ability to sponsor you a visa anyway for that internship. And probably they don't really get that many applications, I think, compared to the, more established, bigger names. And so their pool of applicants is also naturally smaller, so they get to be less picky about who they choose. I think in that sense, they get to take a bet on you as an international person to join the company. But putting your hopes into that specific company or startup to finally give you an offer, I think the chances are pretty slim, although it is there because my friend did get her job from the internship. The only thing I can suggest is when you're applying for jobs and when you know that you have gotten that work holiday pass, put it in your CV or in your cover letter that you are eligible to work in Singapore with a work holiday pass for 6 months. And number two, once you get a work holiday pass, yes, you can move to Singapore without a job. However, though, I have to warn you, living costs in Singapore is pretty high, especially if you don't earn from an internship or from a job during your time here. Yes, if you do have the money and the budget to sustain your living cost for about like 6 months with food, accommodation, etc., fine. But another thing that you have to consider as well is that a lot of the accommodation in Singapore only allows at least a year, or if you have families here, then great. But you have to take into account of that as well. And the other thing about this work holiday pass is when you are granted the pass, they will actually give you an IPA letter. So it's basically a letter that you'll have to bring to ICA to then turn that letter into a pass. So the effective start date of your pass will not be until you go into ICA and turn it into a pass. And from the moment that you get the letter, you have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, please do check, I think you've got a month or so to turn it into work holiday pass. So if I were you, I'll use that 1 month to really go all out to apply for internships and short-term roles. Now, the bigger picture to this is if you're applying for work holiday pass, you probably want to work in Singapore full-time. So I would say don't put your whole energy into just applying for roles that would fit into your work holiday pass timeline, but also look for really just full-time roles. And especially as an Indonesian, I think the biggest currency that you will have in the Singapore job market is your Indonesian language ability. Bisa bahasa Indonesia. Because from what I've observed, a lot of these companies would be headquartered in Singapore, but serving the Southeast Asian region, including Indonesia. So you would have clients in Indonesia where it will be very beneficial if you can speak Indonesian. Usually they would ask for a language hire for specific markets like Indonesia or Vietnam or Thailand, which is what I've seen a lot of. Being able to speak Indonesia and willing to do the kind of whatever kind of job that is. I started off as a help desk, okay, in my current job. And now I'm in sales, I'm an account manager. I think at the time I just compromised on what ideal job means to me. Because to me, what is more important is to be productive, i.e. earning money, not be unemployed. And as long as I get into a good company, no matter the role, I was ready to just give in the effort. And yeah, I think it is pretty fruitful now looking back, 2 years after I got my full-time job in this current company. So I hope that gives you a bit of insights on work holiday pass and also job hunting in Singapore. From all of the companies that I applied to, I only got one offer from this specific company. And I think it's thanks to my language ability and also perhaps some skills that suit what they're looking for. But this is my take, right? I have to really humble myself and let go of a lot of my idealism on what constitutes a dream job and what constitutes a job that I want to do. I think I shifted my mindset from a job being, having to be something that I'm passionate in to just something as a means to an end. Although sometimes I still think like, oh, it'll be nice if I have a job that I truly, truly, extremely love. And number two, don't get disheartened when you don't get a job in the country that you studied in, because I think that's naturally what we are aiming for when we chose to study in a specific country. At least that was the case for me. That leap of faith that I took when I knew that the time was ending and I just, whatever, I'll just go home. I'll try my luck somewhere else. And just that belief that you are not bound to what you studied, where you studied, or who you were at the time of application. I know this is a bit fluffy, but just know that there are ways out, there are paths. It's just that it's probably not as straightforward and not as easy. If it takes you 300 applications, it takes you 300 applications. I know someone else who actually did 1,000 applications and finally got one offer. We all battle in some shape or form. and job hunting is just one of the battles. Once you're in, there's gonna be a lot more battles. So yeah, I hope those are helpful, and it's good to be back and filming. Do let me know if you have more questions, and I will try my best to answer them in my future videos. Bye!